Video. It's been a while. Kind of had some issues. This is my wife, Lydia, and we've been together married 49 years and together for over 50. And anyway, we've had our health problems this year. She has. It was a year ago Tuesday that they flew her up to Vegas, and she was in there for 6 weeks. Go ahead and tell them a little bit about your hospital and everything.
Oh, well, I was in Mountain View up in Las Vegas, and I didn't even know what was going on. They had me so doped up. I thought that my surgeon had taken my insides out, and I thought that she smelled them and said, "This doesn't smell right." So I believed that until we were home for a couple of months, and then I told Dave about it, and he said, "That's not true."
That didn't happen. Yeah, those opiates mess you up big time.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anyway, got home, and then we went to Kingman about the chemo treatments all winter long. Every 3 weeks she had to have a full blown, and lost every bit of hair on her.
Yeah, I'm just starting to get hair back, and I'm not going to show you.
No.
That's why no makeup, too. Got oxygen.
I don't think she's going to get off that.
I don't know, but I don't want it to get all full of makeup, so I had to quit using it.
Yeah.
So.
Got that going on,
Yeah.
and then we go out to the City of Hope. We're both now out there. We go out in 2 weeks for 6 appointments in 2.5 days. They're watching her, and they are my oncologists out there. So we'll have our CT scan, blood work, and see our doctors and see what's going on. We have to go out there every 3 months to LA, to Duarte, to the main campus. But I'm doing okay. I got some side effects. My feet blew up this time with red, they're like red welts.
It's like blisters.
Yeah, blisters, and then they callus over, and so that's holding me up. And then you're probably wondering, well, this car's going to take a while longer. And but you know, we're at total peace with what's going on with us. Jesus has got both of us, so we know where we're going, and we're at total peace.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's not fun, but
No,
you know, you
fun.
do what you can do.
Do what you can do.
Right.
Yeah, you remember when I restored that first car I ever did, that 57 Corvette? You remember that?
I do. 57 Corvette, I followed him down I-5 because he was driving it home, and that was about an hour-and-a-half drive. And that car was going like this all over the road.
Yeah, it was shot.
Nobody stopped him.
No.
So he was okay, and we got home, and he started working on it, did the whole thing himself, and it was just a beautiful car, just gorgeous.
The parts? Remember me getting the parts for it?
Oh, yeah. He got taillights for it, and they were marked at, what, $25?
Oh, $50 a piece.
Oh, $50. No, I thought you made it $50.
No, it was $50 a piece, and I marked them down to $5, but you caught me, remember?
Yeah. Yeah, I said, huh, what is this? But I recognized his writing.
Yeah.
So.
Can't quite do that with this project. This one is a little more. So what do you think about this project?
I like it. I think the car is going to be beautiful when it's done. The amount of money he has spent, I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. And you know, he's doing what he loves to do, and then it's just like when he was working. He's out of my hair and I'm out of his hair.
Yeah.
So
it's peaceful.
Yeah.
Come out here, and she can do her sewing and
painting.
all her other stuff.
Yeah, I like the
painting.
So.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, he's doing a good job. I mean, he's doing exactly what he loves to do, and there's just, you know, no stopping him. And then once the car's done and he's driven it a couple of times, it's going bye-bye because once he's done it, he doesn't want to wash it or anything like that.
Yeah, the fun's over when the car's done.
So it's got to go bye-bye then.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, yeah. So anyway, nice talking to you
Yeah.
guys.
Thank
He's
you.
doing a good time.
All right, I'll let you go in.
So
Hop down.
those orange wheels are really ugly, but I guess they're not permanent.
No, they'll be on the car for a long time though.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
got me that image.
Yeah. Hop in. All right, and I guess I'll start with my,
Hey, hang on here, I need your help.
okay. Better shut that other door. I'm gonna fire this thing up eventually. Okay, so I guess I'll show you what I got done. Get my hand out of the way. I'll start out here on the independent suspension. I painted everything black, as you knew the frame, but I did all the A arms. They've all been painted with POR 15 and covered up with gloss black. And I put the independent together. I had a few issues. The 1200 horsepower rated axles, I had to relieve a little bit in the C7. Oh wow, they didn't get enough clearance, and so I had to remove just about a 32nd of an inch. The difference between the 1200 and the regular one is this right here, the joint, the universal joint, and I expect that those are probably the heavier duty steel to my. So we got that, and the other issue is with the big brakes. They shipped that, but the caliper interfered with the parking brake. So I had to build a new bracket and cut some of the bracket away so the caliper could fit on there. It didn't have to do anything with the way it's mounted, the caliper. It was basically this. And then I've got the e-stop on here, and this is working. You see it pulling up on it. And there it goes the other way. You turn it off. Has a key, so it's for security. And you won't, so if you park the car and you turn this off, take the key, it makes it a little harder to steal. Then I did the fuel lines. I used aromatic products. They're high-end, what is FTPE, I think is the nomenclature for it. Anyway, it's a plastic, hard plastic over it. Inside's a stainless braid, and then in the middle is a silicone, which can run E85, alcohol, or gasoline. Well, I almost thought I would put in a ethanol sensor in the return line and make it so you could use E85. Then I got looking into it, and Engine Masters did a pretty good thing on it a couple of years ago, and the problem with E85 is it's 30% less power from it for the BTUs. So even my fuel system's only rated for 950 on E85, rated for 1350 on gas. So that was a non-starter. Then I went into an earlier one too, and they said it stinks. And the bad thing about it is, if your pumps are in the tank, you don't have good lubricity to keep, and your fuel pumps will fail sooner. So E85 ain't gonna go here. Also, my fuel lines I ran, and I needed something here because in this area, they'd be hanging willy-nilly. So I put in a 4-inch channel in here, and you know, that probably isn't gonna hurt. That'll give this rear end just even more of a support, because you've got the two rails going down here and over there, and this is just gonna scoop it up. And as you can see, the rails, there's just no way to run them down the inside with the way this thing is working, which no problem. So I took these Earls clamps, drilled them out, and used 1032 to hold down my fuel lines. Then I built a little bracket here for the fuel filter. And you can see the plumbing on this thing. I had 40 AN fittings to make up on both the hydraulics and the fuel lines. Okay, that's, what else? Oh, this is the computer that runs everything in the car. Well, Borowski, Ken, saying they're having troubles with the hookup on the chiller that sits down underneath the supercharger, because you're running both the air conditioning and you're going to run the chillers. And I just, it took me some time to figure it out, but I have a plan now, and I'm going to be using the Holly computer, and I had to buy an additional hook on. It's like on a PC where you add a board. I need more in and outs, inputs and outputs, so there's 8 more in that little box. It only comes with 4, and I'm going to use that to control the compressor and run the chiller. Got the, this is the Hot Rod Dynamics. You saw that before. What I went with was Auto Plumb for my connections for the, gee, I get the light right. The Auto Plumb hookup for my radiator. We got it over here. And it makes a nice clean setup. I had to put some hose clamps because I was afraid in the gets real hot, they may collapse. This is a trick I use all the time in my trade. It makes for a nice hookup, clean hookup. And then I'm going to put this up under the fender because I don't want to mess with oil if I take a long trip with it, or if somebody takes you won't have to worry about draining because this will go up into the fenders up above. Yeah, all right, that's that. I'm sure I'm missing a lot. Oh, the brakes. Yeah, I went with a Hydro Boost Bosch unit for the brakes, and the Bear deal. There's the thing for balancing out the rear. Made up. Oh, the other thing that I found is I wanted everything in black. So the only thing that was available was stainless outright. So I took shrink wrap and put over it and shrank on, and gives it the black look. That's what I did with the power too. As you can see on my, and by the way, Holly has some really good videos on the correct way to wire up a car, a hot rod. Anyway, I used the shrink wrap on these too, and went up and it made a really nice clean installation. When you do order shrink wrap, if you're dealing with a 1/2 inch, go 2 sizes bigger, go to 3/4. If you're doing 3/8, buy 5/8 shrink wrap in the tubing, because it's a bear to get up over, because I use soap too, like the electricians do when they're pulling wires through. Okay, I think it covers everything. I'm gonna cover, because I always like to teach in my videos, and I want to show you one thing. You know, they have those fancy AN wrenches that are aluminum. I can't see. How would you get those down in there? Huh? Even when I pulled out the pot here, this reservoir tank, and still had trouble getting at them. So basically, I did 40 AN fittings, and here's the tools that I use. I use this on the Auto Plumb, and you need that along with this, a rigid spanner type. And these are what I use to make those fittings up in the tight spots. Those big aluminum, I don't know, I don't think I'm not all sold on that. And I watched some videos on how to make the fittings up. I found some things good tips on there. Some recommend using a chop saw. Well, one guy mentioned that, I don't like using a chop saw because you get debris in here. And I know on that old fuel injection system I had on my old 57, that was why they tore more fuel injection systems out of those old Corvettes in the 50s and 60s, is because of the fuel didn't get filtered enough. So anyway, this is how I do it. I'm going to show you. This tool here was really, what this is it's an old refrigeration tool. It's a swedging tool. And what it does, it's for making a coupling. You take that and you pound this down into there, get the right size. You pound it into there and it swedges it out. Makes it so you can make a coupling. So this has been real handy for this because I can take and push it down. Well, let me set up. I gotta set up the deal here. I can show you. All right, first thing I did with all of them is I put a shot of oil on here. And then make sure when you cut, you put it in the vise and you want it perfectly 90 degrees. Okay, when you end up with that, then you're going to end up with it squished in a little bit. This one really shows what can happen. So what I do is I take vice grips and square that out. But look and see how that inner thing is folding over? You can use a screwdriver, but here's the neat thing about these. There. See, and it's still folded over a little. Just take and pull that up. You want none of this hanging in there because it'll interfere with your connection. And that's still not great. I wouldn't probably use that. But here's one where it's all set up and everything's ready to go. Then you have to take and cut for, they call it an olive. To me, it's more like a ferrule, but this AN stands for Army Navy. This stuff was developed during World War II. But you leave 1/8 of an inch there when you cut this off. And to cut it off, this I found to be the best way. You're not going to cut your hand, you're protected. You just go right on around a couple times. Take a slot right here, tighten it up a little. There you go, trimmed off. Now, the rest of this thing, another thing I've done is using this when you put the fittings together. This is the tough part. Put this in here, and then you put a little bit of oil on here and a little on here. This goes up under here, and then you start this. Actually, you want to hold the nut, so you go in a little further to hold the nut. And then you screw this on. And the bigger the fitting, the harder it is to get it. It'll just won't take off. So what I've done, I still use my swedging tool. And what I do is I take this part out, stick it in here, like here. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to put the ferrule. And that's the other thing. These things are like little needles. That's why it went on so easy. They're like little needles, and if you don't take them over to the bench grinder and just slightly remove them, you will bleed. Okay, that's what's going like that. Okay, and then, sorry I didn't have this really right. Then you push it, and then that goes on. Well, what the deal is, this is really hard to get started. Now this is the part where I take this off, take this, Put it in here. Take the swedging tool and hold on, I forgot to bring a hammer. Give it a couple of good whacks. Now, the thing just screws right on there without any problem. Yeah, see, these crescents work just good. My trade, that's all we did was crescents most of the time. And then you take it right up, you can butt it right up tight, but you want to leave like a fingernail right there. And well, that was a sloppy presentation, but you kind of get the idea of what's going on. Those swedging tools, you can find them at Amazon, but you'll have to put in swedging tool and then scroll way down. They're like $20 for a set of 4 or 5. The other thing I wanted to show before I was done is that these chassis from Roadster Shop, I think a lot of them, they can be put under the Tri-5 without any major things done to your body. But if you order the independent suspension, you're gonna have to cut the floor, because here's a body mount here, but there's another one up higher in here, which isn't here because all of this is in the way. The rail comes completely different. I'll take you under the car and show you. But I just wanted to give you a heads up there that you won't be able to stick this chassis with the independent under a car by just taking the old one out. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Up underneath. See, there's the one body mount. This one is not there. This one, I'm gonna have to cut the floor back and make room, and this comes back further too, so it's gonna interfere a little bit with the cargo. The other thing I wanted to show you was I put a battery box back here. A lot of people are doing it, but I didn't like, they're hanging it in this, putting it like a box in here and hanging it off of this. Well, it's probably okay for most cars, but this car is going to go on the track. So, you know, a heavy lead battery floating around back there, I didn't want that. So what I did is I got a piece of 4-inch, half-inch flat bar, welded it to the structure back here, which is a main part of that, the body, and here, and it went on through to the back, and then I went with a 1/4-inch plate and welded it onto here. And I think you can see up in here is the rest of it, how I put it together, and then have a little support from the rear fender, or the inner fender, I should say. So that's how I did that. And let's see, the other thing I want to talk about was my next video is I won't have one until the chassis is under the car and I get all the mechanicals, all the electrical done. So basically have it ready for paint and upholstery. It's got to go down to Colin. He's got to put in a roll bar system and flip my bumpers and make them one piece. So that's on the agenda, and won't have it. All right, I guess I'll show you this thing runs. Open the window, open the door here. Okay, thanks for watching, and Lord willing, I'll get some more done.
Look at him first.
I just don't want you to
That,
get startled.
and
She's gonna
then-
ring the bell, so I didn't want you to get startled. Oh, yeah, you gotta get it.